Hello and welcome to True Crime Rocket Science, the most authentic voice in true crime. Well, more than 2 months after the Rust shooting, which took place outside Santa Fe on October 21st this year, is there anything that we don't know? And I must say, as someone who's been covering this case for the last couple of weeks, I would have been one of the first to put up my hands and say, yeah, I'm pretty sure that I know pretty much all there is to know about this case. Well, today I read an article where I learned quite a few things, and perhaps you did too, or perhaps you will too. Before we get to that, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do. Like, share, leave a comment, and let's get started. So the article that I'm quoting from is a Fox News article, Rust Shooting Investigation, Everything to Know. I'm not going to go into the people involved. I am going to go into the next section, search warrants. Did you know that 5 search warrants have been issued in the Rust shooting investigation? And so, according to the article, the Santa Fe Sheriff's Department obtained their first search warrant for the church where the shooting occurred. Makes sense, doesn't it? Let's first do a thorough search of the crime scene. And so the items the authorities seized during that first search included video cameras, firearms, ammunition, clothing, photographs, cameras, and other items, right? All pretty standard. The part that really stands out is this number 2 under the search warrant section dealing with the second search warrant. For this search, authorities were allowed to seize fingerprints, bodily fluids, firearm residue, trace evidence, and more. Going on through the article, this is the part that really stood out. It says, quote, authorities recovered multiple guns, right, inside the church, loose ammo, 9 spent casings, among other things, according to the search inventory report. Now, 9 spent casings. What on earth are 9 spent casings doing inside their church, right? One can understand there being 1 spent casing. Why are there 8 other spent casings? What is that all about? What is the story behind the 9 spent casings? I think the fingerprints are another interesting aspect. For example, is Alec Baldwin's fingerprint on the trigger of the gun, right? It doesn't obviously mean necessarily that he pulled the trigger, but if there's no fingerprint there, well, that would certainly prove his point to some extent, right? The other thing that's quite interesting is the firearm residue. That is going to give you an exact location for where all of this took place, exactly where Alec was standing and how far he was from Helena Hutchins. Photographs have also been seized in terms of the search warrant. We've already seen one photo that's pretty revealing, the photo from Surge, taken where you can see quite a few individuals, but apparently there were quite a few other photographs as well. The other thing that I think is interesting is that there were other guns, other firearms inside the church. They don't actually say how many, just that there were multiple guns and other loose ammo lying around. That brings us to the third search warrant, and this search warrant was served on the white prop truck. And according to this third search warrant, the authorities recovered 13 firearms, right, ammunition and other items. Now, I think if you are under this impression that the armorer, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, her job was quite simple, just check the firearm, not a big deal. Just check the firearm. Are the rounds live or not? No big deal. But consider the scenario that in the prop truck were 13 additional firearms. And what that suggests is that there were even more than that on set, perhaps 16, perhaps 20, who knows. But 13 is a lot of firearms to keep track of, especially given the fact that each firearm contains a number of rounds, right? Does that make sense? That brings us to the fourth search warrant, and this was served on PDQ Arm and Prop LLC. And what they seized from there was suspected live ammo, an ammo can, and this is possibly that green ammo can that Seth Kenny mentioned. It's possible that can was the one that was seized. One wonders whether all the rounds that were in that ammo can were remained in that can, or was that can opened, right? And then, quite interesting, the fifth search warrant is for Alec Baldwin's cell phone. So just look how things are moving. They go from a search warrant in the church, another search warrant in the church, this time kind of a lot more detailed, then one on the prop truck, then one on PDQ arm and prop, and then from there, very direct, a search warrant for Alec Baldwin's cell phone. Now, what's quite interesting from the Fox News article is it says, quote, the warrant had not been executed at the time this article was published, meaning the warrant for Alec Baldwin's cell phone had not been executed at the time that the article had been written. And obviously the article was published today, a couple of hours ago, right? So unless this article has been regurgitated somehow, I don't think that's the case. I think the question is, has Alec Baldwin given up his cell phone yet? I'm not going to deal with the section on civil lawsuits, except to mention that we know that a lawsuit has been brought by script supervisor Mamie Mitchell and the gaffer Serge Svetnoy. But what you may not have considered is the fact that Helena Hutchins' husband is a lawyer, and he has yet to file any form of lawsuit against Baldwin or the Rust production. Quite interesting, isn't it? So I'm not going to take it further than that. I do want to walk you through a couple more episodes that I have meant to get through. I haven't gotten through yet, but they are on the agenda. So the one that I want to deal with is intertextuality. We want to look at a comparison between this particular production and another one where somebody died, and what actually happened in terms of the legal process, in terms of the producers. And so I want to look at intertextuality between Rust and a movie called Midnight Rider, where somebody was actually killed by a train running over a bridge and they couldn't get the crew off this train track in time. And the question was there negligence in not shutting down that train track, to be filming on a train track without actually shutting it down in terms of those kind of safety protocols, right? So the intertextuality is one thing I want to deal with. The other thing I want to deal with is the mechanism of the Colt 45. I haven't really dealt with that in any detail. I want to deal with that. And then the third and final thing, certainly at this point, that I want to look into is a recap of the Rust story, the Rust episode. And there are some surprises in store for us there as well. But there we just want to get a global view of the story so far. So that is what you can look forward to on this channel going forward. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.